Welcome. Gosh, I'm having a hard time getting started this afternoon, but welcome to WIN TV. I'm your host, Denise Rolark Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer newspaper, and it's so good to be back. I want you to stay tuned for an upcoming special edition of WIN TV featuring highlights from the 2021 Ancient Egyptian Tour with Tony Browder. It was an experience you won't want to miss, and I look forward to sharing some highlights from that trip. So we'll let you know when it's coming. Just look out for it in the coming weeks. I would also like to thank Washington Informer reporters James Wright and William Ford for occupying the host seat while I was away. I hope you picked up the most recent issue of the Washington Informer. I have that right here. Or that you've had a chance to read the digital edition online at www.washingtoninformer.com. We also want you to like our page on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and TikTok. Yes, we're there on TikTok, and we're so happy to have one of our young interns who's working with us to develop our TikTok page. So we're going to have a lot of fun there. And so we hope that you'll follow us on TikTok. You can also pick up or check out WI Bridge, which is also a segment insert in the Washington Informer if you haven't seen it. But we'd also, speaking of WI Bridge, we want you to be sure to stay tuned for WI Bridge TV that will follow us right after this show with the media prints and sounds of the DMV. So today, our solutions journalism and food security reporter, Natalie Hockaday, will talk to Samantha Pounder, the director of Aracadia Center for Sustainable Food and Agriculture. And they'll be joined by Beverly Wheeler, director of DC Hunger Solutions, as they discuss ways to end hunger in the nation's capital. Prince George's County editor, William Ford, will be talking to John B. King, Secretary John B. King, a lifelong educator and gubernatorial candidate for governor for the state of Maryland. They'll discuss the upcoming governor's race and what King's plans are for the Free State. And I'll be talking with Music Haven and on-air personality Maven. Thank you, Sherry. Music Maven and on-air personality DJ Quicksilver. I'm looking forward to that. But he's not only a DJ, but a philanthropist. And we're going to talk about his nonprofit organization that focuses on children who've lost parents at a very young age. And we're so glad that he's going to be with us. And last but not least, I will have a conversation with Dr. Toni Luck, the Chief Operating Officer for Our Black Truth, and Tony Regusters, Director of Media Relations of the Coming Home Project, about a project they have to take a special group of Americans on a trip to Africa. But first, let's hear from our news broadcaster reporter Curtis Knowles.
This is WIN TV News, bringing you the news that matters. A federal judge has halted Maryland Governor Hogan's attempt to end expanded federal unemployment benefits. Judge Lawrence Fletcher Hill of the Baltimore City Circuit Court wrote in his opinion that the governor's action would create irreparable harm to an estimated 175,000 unemployed workers. Hogan tried to appeal to the state Special Court of Appeals, but was denied the motion on July 3rd. The federal date for unemployment rollbacks is set for September 6. The D.C. Council voted Tuesday to extend protections for residents against evictions and rent increases during the coronavirus pandemic. The moratorium on evictions for non-payment would end on October 12th, while rent increases would again be permitted after December 31st. The bill is still awaiting approval from the city mayor. The Department of Homeland Security has begun administering the controversial Johnson & Johnson coronavirus vaccine to detainees at immigration and custom enforcement facilities. ICE has said the decision was made to help increase vaccination efforts at the detention facilities, where nearly 20,000 coronavirus cases have been recorded since the beginning of the pandemic. The FDA has added a warning to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that could lead to a rare condition known as Guillain-Barré syndrome. This decision comes as President Biden's administration has been blasted for not doing enough to prevent the spread of the virus throughout immigrant detainment facilities. As the 60th anniversary for the U.S. trade embargo against Cuba draws near, protests by Cubans and their allies have intensified. The embargo has had a devastating impact on Cuba's economy, which was further exacerbated by the pandemic. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel blamed U.S. sanctions for Cuba's current economic situation. The UN's General Council has passed resolutions for over 3 decades for the U.S. to lift its sanctions against Cuba. This is Curtis Knowles with WIN TV News.
Thank you, Curtis. I appreciate that broadcast, and we always like the fact that you keep us abreast of other news, not only in the Washington Informer, but what's happening in our city, the nation, and across the world. Before we get started with our program, I have to take a quick moment to give homage to my shero of the Black press, Ida B. Wells, who was born today in 1862. Wells forged a movement to end the horrific practice of lynching in the U.S., and she was a journalist, educator, and one of the original founders of the NAACP. She refused to allow white women to push her to the back of the line at the DC March for Women's Suffrage in 1913. And she traveled outside of the United States to solicit support from other nations to pressure the US to end racial segregation and equality against African Americans. Wells died in Chicago, Illinois on March 25th, 1931. She was 68 years old. If you don't know the story of Ida B. Wells, I strongly suggest that you go to the library and pick up a book to read about this woman who is clearly one of America's greatest heroes. And every child, especially our girls, need to know who she is. Ida B. Wells, a champion of the Black press, owned several newspapers, and may she rest in peace. And we thank goodness that her family are keeping her legacy alive. So joining me now is Natalie Hockaday. Natalie is our Solutions Journalism Fellow, as well as a core member of Report for America. And she is working with the Washington Informer to enhance our coverage on food insecurity in the DC area and looking for solutions to end it. Hi, Natalie. How are you? I need you to unmute yourself so I can hear you.
Sorry.
There you are.
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. So at this point, I'm going to turn the show over to you, and it's in your hands.
All right, thank you. Hi, like Ms. Rolark Barnes said, I am the fellow for Solutions Journalism covering food insecurity, specifically in Wards 7 and 8, but also throughout the rest of the DC community. And so I have brought along some guests who are involved in the fight to help solve this issue. So I have Dr. Beverly Wheeler and Samantha here from DC Hunger Solutions. And I also have Samantha Pounder from Arcadia's Mobile Market. Hi, ladies. How are you guys doing today?
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Yes, no problem. So first, introduce yourselves and tell me a little bit about your organizations.
Samantha, you want to go first?
Sure. Thank you. So I am relatively new at Aracadia Center for Sustainable Food and Agriculture. We're a nonprofit. We have a farm in Alexandria, Virginia, where it's actually a full production farm where we grow veggies that we sell at market. We have a few different programs, a veterans farm program where we teach veterans how to farm, a fellowship program where they can actually use like an incubator where they can use space from us to grow their own goods. Once they graduate from that program, they're eligible for low interest loans to actually purchase their own farmland. We have a farm to school program where we bring school children to do tours of the farm and learn about and fall in love with fresh, healthy produce. And I run the mobile market program, which is a mobile market, in other words, a farmer's market on wheels. And we pop up in mostly low-income neighborhoods in DC, mostly wards 7 and 8, but in a little bit, I'll tell a little bit more about our different locations. And yeah, we're just really happy to speak about what we're doing and be here today.
Great, thank you.
So I'm Beverly Wheeler, Director of DC Hunger Solutions. Our tagline is ending hunger in the nation's capital. We are an advocacy, policy, and direct service nonprofit, and we're part of the Food Research and Action Center, which is a national program. We work to make sure that everyone who is qualified to be on a federal nutrition program in the city actually can get on those federal nutrition programs. We believe that if you don't have to worry about where your next meal is coming from, then you can use your resources to get housing, to do education, to find employment, and have a much better life, including healthcare. So we do a lot with SNAP. Often people call it food stamps. We also work around WIC, the program for prenatal women with children up to the age of 5. We want to make sure they're on there. And we particularly work well with our seniors. So we do a lot around policy and programming. We work with the district government and a lot of DC agencies.
Okay. So how do y'all's organizations best serve the DC community? Because food insecurity has, it's been a concern in DC for quite some time. So what factors do you think contribute to this in the city? And what are some solutions to it?
If I may, I think it's very most basic level, just not having access to healthy food in your neighborhood is a huge issue still for the district today. One of the metrics that we look at when choosing to go into a neighborhood are specifically neighborhoods that do not have a grocery store within 1 mile, and also compounded by the fact that often these neighborhoods have low car ownership. So that is one of the metrics that we look at for when we go into neighborhoods. Another thing, just to piggyback on Beverly's comment about the different benefits available to DC residents, we actually accept SNAP, WIC, senior FMNP, and we double all of those benefit dollars. So for every, say, $5 you spend in WIC, you would receive $10 worth of produce from our markets.
So one of the things we try to do is make sure people understand what food insecurity, it's thrown around a lot, but what it means is when you do not have nutritional adequate food available to you, when you just don't know when your next meal is coming from. DC, 1 in 10 adults in DC faces some form of food insecurity. And unfortunately, we are #1 in the nation for senior food insecurity, where 14.3% of our seniors don't know where their next meal is coming from. So for us, that's really critically important. We put up a brand new toolkit, having worked with a number of DC agencies on our website. So make sure you go there, that explain all of the federal nutrition programs and show you how to get on those programs. And you can also always call us and we will help you do that. During the pandemic, was particularly important. SNAP was really critical to individuals being able to have food, as well as school meals. When the schools closed, people don't understand that many of our children get school breakfast, school lunch, after school meals, and summer meals. And so we were able to help families get on pandemic, what we call pandemic EBT, where they got the money that they would have gotten for school meals were given to parents so that they could buy food. But those are some of the things that we all get to understand and make sure that our neighbors know. When we find someone who doesn't have food, we love the Aracadia mobile market. I'm a big Aracadia fan anyway, but we want to make sure that people know that you can get food. We at DC Hunger Solutions, we believe that access to healthy, affordable food is a basic human right. And for Wards 7 and 8, it is a racial equity and health issue. We do every 4 or 5 years, we do a grocery store report, and our latest grocery store report came out. And Ward 8 continues to have 1 grocery store for 80,000 people. And Ward 7 has 2 grocery stores, where in other wards of the city, they have 14 grocery stores. And as Samantha said, many of the residents in Ward 7 and 8 don't have access to a grocery store, and that is detrimental to your health and well-being.
Okay. And so, yeah, all these factors contribute to the interconnection of the experience that communities of color experience in DC. So you guys mentioned some of your what you guys do and some solutions to it. So what are some upcoming projects that the community can look out for from DC Hunger Solutions and also from Aracadia?
Well, I want to make sure Aracadia gets in their mobile markets, because those are critical to summer feeding. All of our students get to do summer meals. We need to make sure that they're a part of that. We want to make sure parents are doing pandemic EBT, and we'll be out at a lot of the community programs that are now finally opening up after pandemic to actually sign people up for SNAP and WIC, as well as the other programs.
I'm really happy to hear that, and maybe we can exchange some information, because we do have customers coming to market looking for how to enroll in the different programs. And so that would be really helpful, I think, for our customers to be able to disseminate that information. I did want to just quickly mention where our market is located this season. We have 8 locations in the district. Those are going to be in Mayfair, Bellevue, Oxon Run, Edgewood, Deanwood, Fort DuPont, Anacostia, and Congress Heights. And if you can see below on the screen there, if you go to arcadiafood.org and then click on mobile market, you'll be able to see a Google Calendar of when we'll be at each of the locations, as well as the address for those locations. You can also follow us on Instagram. That's a great way to see our stories, where we post daily where we'll be and what new crops we'll have at market. So today, we'll actually have watermelons and cantaloupes, which is really exciting. And yeah.
Okay. So also, Samantha, tell me a little bit about the mobile market program and something you've recently implemented to make things easier for WIC moms.
Absolutely. So I had an experience where I became a first-time mother on March 11th of 2020, the day before everything shut down in the city. And subsequently, both my husband and I were laid off. And so I actually enrolled in the WIC program. And while I am grateful that I was accepted into the program, I actually never used any of the benefits, because I didn't feel confident that going into a farmer's market, they would know how to receive them. I had anxieties around that. It was very complicated for me to try to figure out. And, you know, thankfully, I was privileged enough to have other sources of funds that I could use for food. So it wasn't the be all end all for me. But once I took this job with Aracadia, it really inspired me to kind of dig a little bit into the program and see how we could make things easier for moms, WIC moms. And so we actually just released a pre-order link where folks can go on our website. They just click a link. We also tweet it out. We also post it on our Instagram and on our Facebook, where WIC moms can click on it, and everything that they see on there will be eligible for their WIC benefits. So they don't have to figure out, I can have this, I can't have that. And the prices are already calculated to do our match. So for the $5 or let's say $9 benefit they use, they would get $18 worth of produce. All they do is they fill out the form, they select which market they want to pick it up at. And when they come to market, all they do is they can cut the line, go straight to the cashier, present their WIC benefit. They can also use any add-on things if they want to use SNAP on top of that, or cash or debit on top of their WIC benefits. They're welcome to do so. And our cashiers are trained, know how to quickly process the payment and give them their box of food, and off they go. So they have more time to spend with their families.
All right, thank you. And thank you, ladies, for coming on the show. And we look forward to seeing the rest of the good work you do in the community.
Thank you so much.
I thought I would jump on as well. Thank you, Natalie. It's a great interview. And I learned a whole lot. And there's nothing like, you know, actually having, proving how well a program works by being a part of that program, Samantha. So, I mean, you are an expert witness of the benefits of the program, which is great. And that was a very interesting statistic that you mentioned, Beverly, about seniors in DC being the most food insecure in the nation. I mean, how can that happen in the nation's capital?
And it's crazy because they're our seniors are very powerful, and they work with us a long time. So we're working on legislation, no senior hungry legislation, to make sure that we address that issue.
Well, we will certainly be following that and making sure that the senior community and the council hears that the voices of the seniors as it relates to that. So before you jumped off, I just wanted to say thank you as well for being with us, and looking forward always to having you back on. And great job, Natalie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okie doke. So yeah, there was a great conversation, and I tell you, it's you just never know about how people are. We think in the Washington D.C. area we're like the greatest, and but we know that that's not the case. And so it's a lot of work that our communities have to do to make sure that our communities is a better place to live, and that people have better quality of life. A better quality of life, but it doesn't come just automatically. It's something we have to work for. Earlier this week, I had the chance to talk to actually our new neighbor here on Martin Luther King Avenue, Eric Weaver, one of our neighbors and founder of the National Association for the Advancement of Returning Citizens. And they did a grand opening this week. And I want you to take a look at this short video to see what their organization and Mr. Weaver is doing here in Southeast, east of the Anacostia River.
I'm Eric Weaver, the chairman and founder of the National Association for the Advancement of Returned Citizens, which is not, we're a reentry program and a violence prevention program. Today, we're doing a launch party to introduce our new programs that we have. One is COP, which is the Community Assistance Reentry Program. We also have a DOS referral program. And of course, we have Pure Violence, Cure the Street model as well. So we just want to introduce to the community our new programs, and hopefully we can get more people to sign on. Wow. One of the things we're trying to accomplish is help more returned citizens get acclimated back into the community, working on things like social skills and all that. We want to help them get housing and jobs and stuff like that, but sometimes those things aren't enough. You can get a person a job, but if they don't have the social skills to adapt after being gone 20, 30 years, then they don't keep their job. So we just want to make sure that the reentry or our returned citizen population is able to be out here and stay out here. So we're trying to create something that's sustainable for them. First of all, any returned citizen, if you know me, again, my name is Eric Weaver. I'm a returned citizen who's done 22 years. I've been home 12 years. So you're getting something that I didn't read about this. I know some of the things that are needed to help you be sustainable out here. I think, we're in touch with what's going on in the community, and as well as things like this pandemic. And I just think, I think that NOC has its ear to the street as well as its ear inside the institution. So we understand the needs of our populations, and we're here, we're listening first to your needs, and then we're trying to go out and help you get linked to what you say your needs are. We had 3115 Martin Luther King Avenue. We have upstairs and downstairs. Cure Violence is downstairs, and our reentry program is upstairs. Hours of operation is Monday through Saturday from 9 p.m. to 5.
Thank you, Eric. I really appreciate that. And we're really glad to have them as a neighbor. Right here on Martin Luther King Avenue, we have a whole array of community services for returning citizens and to fight street violence and what have you, education purposes. There's a school across the street, UDC is across the street. And so, we're a little community of safe havens for people who actually have needs. And so I would recommend, if you know a returning citizen, someone who's on their way home or who has recently returned, go ahead and check the program out. Again, it's right next door to us at 3117 Martin Luther King Avenue. We're 3117, they're next door at 3115 Martin Luther King Avenue Southeast, and we welcome them with open arms. So next we're going to talk to DJ Quicksilver. Hey there.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Finding yourself?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm glad to have the chance to talk to you.
I'm
And
honored to be here. Always a pleasure.
you know, you're just not doing the music thing, but you're working on behalf of the community as well. And so all praises to you, my brother.
Thank you. I got a lot going on, but it's a blessing.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to talk about, you know, your role being a DJ. I mean, what that means to you, how you got involved, and you know, I'm sure that there's something in that job that drives you. So talk a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, as you mentioned, yes, my name is Quicksilver, DJ Quicksilver, some call me. I've been DJing for a very, very long time, some decades now. And of course, not just radio. I do nightclubs. I own a nightclub as well. But DJing has been a passion of mine for quite some time, and it's really changed my life because I've met so many people along the way. Being a DJ, you never know who's in the room. I tell that to DJs all the time. You can be doing a party for 3 people or 3,000 people, but that one person in the room can change your life. So always put on your best show. As far as radio, of course, my show is called The Quicksilver Show. I'm actually nationally syndicated now. So my show is based out of DC. But you can hear my show in DC, Baltimore, Virginia, Philly, Jersey, Delaware, Cincinnati, Columbus, Ohio, Georgia, Mississippi. I mean, I'm pretty much everywhere now. And my show comes on every day from 3 until 7, the Quicksilver Show with my co-host, Dominique the Diva. But I can talk forever. Like I say, DJing has been a passion of mine. I love it. I'm not sure if they told you, but I actually opened up my own DJ school called Quick and Easy DJs. But we're actually training and teaching the next generation of DJs to be great DJs so it can change their life as well.
That's what I wanted to ask you about, though. I mean, you've been in the business for a long time, and I'm wondering, how has it changed? I know that, you know, you're no longer, or maybe you are still spinning records, or what? I mean, how has the DJ industry changed?
It's changed tremendous. Well, it's changed, but it's always the same. I always say music is still the root of everything that makes things good or bad. So as far as the skill level, everything's digital now, of course. You know, back in the day when I first started, I would have to walk in a nightclub with 30, 40 crates of records. I'm actually thankful that those days are over. I can now just walk in a club with a backpack and a laptop and have all the same music. But we work off of digital programs. But believe it or not, I still play on actual turntables daily.
Okay.
So the turntables are now linked to your laptop with the music, but it's still the same skill set. And that's something that I teach in my DJ school, Quick and Easy DJs, is the skill of DJing.
And I know that you have to have sort of an open mind about music. I mean, you know, DJs have to be prepared for any kind of audience. But,
Absolutely.
you know, how has the music changed? Is there you know, how have you been able to transition with the sound of the music? Let's put it that way.
Great question, by the way. And what I say is that if you're a really good DJ, you're able to read the crowd. I'm a DJ that I literally play all forms of music, from jazz to hip hop to classical to rock to go-go to Baltimore club to R&B, to you name it. I mean, go-go, I literally play everything. But to be a really good DJ, you have to be able to read the crowd and figure out what the crowd wants to really hear and what they're receptive of. The amazing part, well, I don't know if it's amazing, but the weird part about myself is I personally don't even listen to a lot of the music that I play. So, you know, a lot of stuff that I play on the radio in the clubs, I play it because, of course, I love the reaction that it gets. And like I said, I don't play for myself. I play for others. So I want others to be happy. But in my home, I'm a 90s guy. I listen to 90s hip hop and R&B all day. My favorite artist of all times is Anita Baker. I talk about that all the time, believe it or not.
Okay.
So I've seen her live quite some times, front row every time I'm there. So, you know, for me to be so young, I have an old soul when it comes to my musical taste personally. But I love everything that I'm able to play on the radio and in the clubs. Because, you know, my goal is to make people have a great time. I don't care what you're going through in your life, good or bad. That 3 or 2 hours that you're with me, my goal is to make sure that you forget about all the things you're going through in your life and you have a great time.
You know, one of the things I often wonder, particularly if it's an event where there's a DJ, you know, and the folks can start coming up and requesting certain songs. Is that, you know, is it disturbing, or does it help? How do you take that?
It's not disturbing sometimes. And I use the word sometimes because sometimes you'll be playing, let's just say I'm playing hip hop right now, and randomly you'll get somebody right in the middle of your set where everybody's dancing. Literally the whole entire club is dancing except that one person. So you have 1,000 people dancing and having a great time, but this one person, they'll come up to you in the middle of your set and be like, hey, I know you're playing hip hop right now, but can you play this random techno song? You're like, no. Like, why would I stop what I'm doing for that one person? So the other 999 people are now upset. So at times people don't realize that when you're requesting a song, make sure it's in the realm of what the DJ is playing. So if you're at a all gospel party, right? You're not going to come to the gospel party in the middle of the gospel set where everybody's praising the Lord and clapping their hands and say, hey, play the song talking about drugs and guns. Of course, I'm not going to play the record right now. It doesn't even fit the format of what we're doing, but you'll be surprised. People really get upset when they request that song. You don't play it, but it is what it is. I've learned a long time ago that you cannot please everybody. The easiest way to let yourself down is to try to please people. And that's not just for DJing, that's for life, period.
Makes sense. Makes sense. You know, and you can tell I think about this a lot because, you know, I always think about the photographers, the DJs, you know, the people that sort of capture the moment and help to create the spirit. And how much pressure is it on you when you got a crowd of people you're playing music for and you can't get them on the floor?
Well, thankfully, I really don't have that issue. My alias is the Party Kingpin. That's what people have been calling me for 20 plus years now. So when it comes to rocking the party, this is not me boasting or bragging. I have accolades to say it. I'm one of the best. So I'm really great at reading the crowd. A lot of DJs, they play for themselves. So they have sets. So they have these sets that they play, and then they get frustrated when they get to a venue and Denise is there and she's not dancing. That's because you planned a set before you saw her. I'm not that DJ. I really walk in the room a half hour before my show starts. I read the crowd. I see what the DJ before me is playing and see what's working and what's not working. So when I start, I won't have that issue. So I haven't had an issue with people having danced at a Quick Silva party. I couldn't tell you, maybe the first time I DJ'd 30 years ago, but in the last 20 plus, I definitely don't have that issue of people not dancing at my venues.
I guess because, you know, I'm the older set now, and so I've gone places.
What are you, 25?
Yes, or 6, something like that. But but you know, I mean, you're sitting around and you listen to DJs working hard, playing all this music, and then you know somebody says play I don't know, one of those line dance songs, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, now you got everybody on the floor. And as soon as they stop, everybody sits down again. I'm like, but the DJ hasn't stopped. The music is still going. So, you know, there's that in-between group. And I have to say this too. The other night, there was a guy playing some music in my neighborhood. I was so upset. I was angry. The music was so loud. But then after about a half an hour, I'm sitting there, you know.
I tell people all the time,
he's good. Whoever that was good.
People don't even realize that music is a healer.
It is.
I don't care what you're going through in your life mentally or physically. Like when you hear music, good music, it makes you feel better. You can be having the worst day of your life, but your favorite song comes on, and just for that 3 minutes and 30 seconds, you forgot about all the other things in your life because that music saved you at that moment.
Well, talking about that, you know, you've created a foundation, the Silver Lining, and focusing on children. Tell us what the Silver Lining is and what you do for some of these children, pretty much in crisis.
So Silver Lining Foundation was a foundation that I started years ago in partnership with my wife, Ashley. And it originally started for kids who lost parents. I lost both my parents by the age of 18. And I lost my parents, unfortunately, to death. But when we speak about people losing parents, it's not always just death. If your parents are incarcerated, you've lost a parent. If your parent's not in your life because they're absentee dad or mom, you've lost a parent. So the foundation was originally geared just for kids who lost parents to let them know that they're not alone. Because we personally know what that feels like. I was 10 when I lost my mom and 18 when I lost my dad, and I've been on my own ever since. But since then, we've really expanded to just really helping people. You know, we have yearly events, we have quarterly events where we give back. I mean, there hasn't been a charity in DC or Baltimore in the last 20 years that we haven't been a part of, whether we're there in spirit, whether we're using our platforms and our voices to get the message out there, whether we donate money and time, we're always making sure that anything that's going on, especially when it pertains to young people, that I'm hands-on. I've been honored and blessed to do so much for so many young people over the years. I just spoke at one of the high school graduations for Coolidge, and we really talked about when I spoke at the graduation, the impact that you have on young people's lives. A lot of times you don't even realize it, and you really impact their lives by not what you say, but how you move and how your actions move. The Silver Lining Foundation, we're here not just for kids who lost parents. Anybody who needs assistance of any kind. That's really our mission statement. We really have a mission statement just to help people. And once again, that's not just financial. That's to use our voice for people who feel like they're voiceless at times.
Well, as a Coolidge alum, I'm going to say thank you very much for being there.
I was the keynote speaker at that graduation.
That's fantastic. Chevy is too. So, we love going back and helping. I need to go back myself, actually, but I'm glad you were there.
That's actually one of the schools that I've adopted. I speak at a lot of schools, but Coolidge is one of like the ones that me and my wife Ashley we adopted them years ago. A lot of
why did you select Coolidge among the schools that you've adopted?
The reason why, like I said, I didn't go to Coolidge. We just ended up having a lot of friends who worked there, and they would always ask me to come speak or ask my wife to come speak or talk to the young people. And then after we just started doing it so much, it became a thing where we were just there 3-4 times a year. And before you know it, we're like, this is one of our schools that we're really going to come back and give. So when a lot of times we'll come and I'll speak at something and I'll really challenge the kids. I say, if I come back in 3 months and your grades are better, we can figure out something we can do. And that's been a school that's been very near and dear to my heart. And shout out to Coolidge if anybody from Coolidge is watching.
Have you identified, or in your outreach to young people, it's because a lot of times, folks say, I don't know what they want. I don't know what, why are they acting out like this? What I don't know what to do about it. Mm-hmm. But is it time? You could say, because you're only given time, money, message. But what do you think? Go ahead.
The first thing is when I hear people say that, I say that's because you're probably not listening. A lot of people, especially older adults, when they're talking to young people who are, I never say that they're bad. I always say that they're misguided or they're misjudged. A lot of times they go in with this perceived notion of, I'm going to talk to some bad kids and they're not going to listen. And if your message is already coming in on the attack, you're right. If you attack anybody, they're going to attack back. So my goal is, a lot of times when I'm speaking at these schools and I'm speaking with all these dignitaries and people who just feel like they're so much better than everybody else, and they can't understand how I walk in the room and I command their attention and I get it just like this. And I say it's because I'm not talking at them. I really come in, and before I even do a speech, I always ask questions. Before most of my speeches, I always say, what is it that you guys want from me? What is it that you expect to get from me or gain from me speaking here? Because I don't want to sit there and talk to you for 30 minutes about something you don't even care about. And that's what a lot of people do. They come in with the message that they want. It's not about what you want. A lot of people still haven't realized that in life. In order to help others, it's not about what you want. You have to figure out their needs first. So I think when people say what you just said is that they come in and they're not really open to honest feedback or constructive criticism about how to talk to these young people. So like I say, if you listen, they will tell you exactly what they need. If you actually pay attention, they will show you exactly what they're lacking. But a lot of us just don't do that. We walk in with the chest out and our tie on, feeling like, let me talk directly about him because you need to make yourself better because I'm that way. And that notion will never work with young people, especially young people who are misguided.
So talking about need, is there a need that the organization, the foundation has that maybe the community could do or give to support what you're doing?
Absolutely. On my website for everything from my foundation to my radio to everything, quicksilvershow.com. That's spelled like my name, quicksilvershow.com. You can see all the information there. But we're always looking to help. We literally, my mission statement in life right now is not even about DJ Quicksilver, the entertainer, the businessman. It's really about Quicksilver, the entrepreneur, the philanthropist, the person that really wants to help others. I believe to whom much is given, much is required. I've been very blessed in my life. And my goal right now is to extend that blessing to others. But
how can we help you? Is there something do you need volunteers? Places where people can come and ask you to speak to young folks? What is it that we can do to support the foundation?
Right now, like I said, we're always looking for assistance. And once again, all the information, I know they put at the bottom of the screen, but quicksilvershow.com. It's not even just about things we're doing. We're really looking to partner with others. So if you're having something right now, reach out to us and let me know how I can help. Like I say, it's never about us. Whatever you're doing right now, we partner with so many people. Martha's Table is an organization we partner with in DC a whole lot. Even during the pandemic, we were feeding families every weekend. Literally every Saturday, myself and Martha's Table, we would go to different communities and just give out fresh groceries. We did it in DC, we did it in Baltimore. But those are the type of things that we're doing all the time. And believe it or not, a lot of things we're doing, we don't even post on social. We're just doing because that's who we are. A lot of people do charity because it looks good on Instagram. That's not what I'm about. I'm not about doing charity so I can get praise. I do it because it's the right thing to do. So once again, anybody knows how to reach out to me. My socials at DJ Quicksilver on everything. Website quicksilvershow.com. But if you're having something, you need our assistance any way we can help, especially if it's a nonprofit and you're trying to give back. I'm always, if I'm available, my time permits, I will make myself available.
That's fantastic. I want to thank you so very much for joining us and, for learning so much more about you, what you do, who the man is behind the name. And we didn't get a chance to meet your wife, but we know that it's fantastic. You got a great partner, who's supporting everything that you're doing. So that's good as well. So, Quicksilver, anytime you want to come back, anything coming up in the next month we need to know about?
I have parties literally. Like I said, my alias is the Party Kingpin. I'm not sure if you've been at any of my parties recently, but I have parties.
I need a good party. I need a party.
Yeah, I have parties literally 5 days a week between DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I travel a lot all over the world, from Charlotte to Miami to Texas. Tonight, I'm not sure if anybody's watching it in the DC area tonight. I'm having an amazing party I call the 90s versus 2000s at a venue called Karma. That's in Washington, DC. And once again, it'll be, if you check my Instagram, you'll see all the information.
Right.
That's just party wise. But as far as give backs and radio, I always have something. I know we don't have time right now for me to run down everything that I'm doing, but I'd rather just check out my Instagram and my social, and you can see everything that I'm a part of, from community outreach to DJ school to nightclubs to anything else you can think of in between. It's all right there.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, we're going to follow you. Hopefully you'll follow us. And
absolutely. I'm already following you guys.
All right. Wonderful. Woohoo. All right, Sherry. Quicksilver, thank you so much. Thank you so much for spending this time with us, and take care of yourself.
Absolutely. And you take care of yourself as well. And I'm honored to be here. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Okay. You too. All right. Thank you. Yeah, whoa, I had to go check out a party. It's kind of before the real work, the September comes on. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I think what I liked hearing him say is about music and how music fuels the spirit. And no matter what your mental state might be, or how you're feeling, or if you're depressed or whatever, you cut on that song, it takes you to another place for a few minutes. And so music is medicine. It's powerful. And so I'm so glad that he understands that and is sharing that with us, and look forward to having him back. Right now, though, we're going to move on to talking to Tony Regusters and Dr. Toni Luck about a program that they have coming up soon called Our Black Truth. And are you all there? You know that we recently acknowledged the bombing in Tulsa. What happened with the community there in Tulsa? They're not with us, Chevy? Are they gone?
Yeah, but they're not sure.
Okay, all right. So we are waiting to get them on board because Dr. Luck and Tony Regusters have come up with a exciting opportunity for a couple of the survivors of the Tulsa Oklahoma Black Wall Street Massacre. And we want to get some more details about that. But maybe we can go on and have, since Will is on board, let's go ahead and get Will Ford up if he's available, and move on with him and your exciting guest. Will, welcome to the show, and unmute yourself so we can. And I want to thank you so much for being on board when I was gone, and having Secretary King with us this week. I'm going to turn it over to both of you all, and take it away.
Good afternoon, sir. How you doing today?
Doing well. Good to see you. Glad to be on.
Thank you. Now, got to give a little preamble. Is that for folks who may not want, they're wondering, well, where does secretary come from? The title.
Yeah.
Well, you were education secretary under President Obama.
That's
How many
right.
people get to work with President Obama? So before we get into it, can you give a summary of what it was like to work with him?
Fantastic, of course. I mean, he's just a brilliant person, an extraordinary leader. I had the privilege of being Secretary of Education, an issue about which he is very passionate. Mrs. Obama is very passionate. The other thing that's so wonderful about them is that they have stayed regular people, despite being, global celebrities, despite all the trappings of the presidency. They always stayed regular people focused on raising their daughters and trying to figure out how to make government a force for good in people's lives.
Thank you, sir. Now, okay, go for it. Why in the world do you want to campaign across the state for governor?
Yeah. Well, look, my deciding to run for governor is very much grounded in the values that led me to get involved in public service in the first place. I was a kid whose life was saved by public schools. Both my parents were educators, but they both passed away when I was a kid. My mom passed away when I was 8, October of 4th grade. My dad passed away when I was 12. He'd been struggling with undiagnosed Alzheimer's. So home was this environment that was unstable and difficult and scary a lot of the time. But school was the place that was safe and compelling and engaging and gave me a sense of hope and purpose. And later, when I was a teenager, like a lot of teenagers who have experienced trauma, I really struggled. And I actually got kicked out of high school. I always tell people I'm the first U.S. Secretary of Education who have been kicked out of high school. But again, it was teachers and a school counselor who invested in me and gave me a second chance. And because of them, I became a teacher and a principal and tried to do for other kids what teachers have done for me. I had the chance, to serve at the state level, the federal level. But as an educator, you always see how kids and families are affected by whether or not they have safe and affordable housing, whether or not their families gotten caught up in our policies of mass incarceration as a kind of health insurance, whether or not their parents can find a good job. And so I've gotten more and more involved in a range of issues, policy issues that affect kids and families, and decided, look, governors are uniquely positioned to make sure that government is helping make people's lives better. And I love Maryland. I raised my family here in Montgomery County, and I think I can contribute, so I'm running.
Now, with this obviously being your first foray into political office, you know about politics, being that you work for the federal government. Mm-hmm. You have a few of your opponents who have held regional or state offices. Now, how do you convince Maryland voters, especially those who actually have supported Governor Hogan because of him being viewed by some as moderate, who's willing to go that middle ground? How do you convince a few of those that you would be able to govern on a statewide level?
Yeah, such an important question. Look, when I was Secretary of Education, our budget was about $15-20 billion larger than the budget of the state of Maryland. So I come to this race with real executive experience, getting things done in government. And what I want to try to present to people is a vision for how we move forward. Look, I think Governor Hogan deserves credit for being a Trump critic. We need Republicans who are Trump critics, but we have a lot of missed opportunities in this state. We could have the best education system in the country. We don't. We need to invest more in our schools, particularly our schools serving our highest needs students. We could have universal access to quality childcare and pre-K in the state. We don't. We need to do that. We could be investing so much more in our HBCUs and driving economic opportunity for a next generation of young people. We haven't done enough there. We could have an economy that's growing great new jobs in renewable energy, in biotech. And even though Governor Hogan presents himself as pro-business, we actually don't have the kind of robust economic growth, innovation-driven economy we should, and we particularly don't see the level of support and investment in businesses owned by people of color that we need. We have a significant racial wealth gap that we need to tackle. So what I want to present to folks is, what does the next 8 years look like? How does government become a partner in helping people improve their lives?
It was funny you mentioned about in terms of Governor Hogan being critical of what former President Donald Trump was. If I'm not mistaken, you think you were the first candidate who released a statement about Republican delegate Daniel Cox running, who's, for those who don't know, who's a Donald Trump supporter, who also helped lead in the January 6th insurrection for people in the state. And I want to make sure, read just part of your statement. Quote, "We simply cannot risk having a QAnon conspiracist who decries public health measures, promotes the big lie, and help promote an insurrection leading our state. Maryland is better than Delegate Cox." That's end quote. So what made you release that statement, sir?
Look, I think we have to be very clear as a country that we reject racism, that we reject fascism and efforts to overturn election outcomes that are fairly decided. We have to reject anti-science views that make everyone less safe and undermine our public health. And Dan Cox is all those things. And he's a representation of the Trump worldview, an anti-science, bigoted, anti-democratic worldview. And we have to reject that in the state. I think voters will reject that. And look, Andy Harris, Congressman Andy Harris, is also a part of that insurrectionist sympathizer movement. And I hope we reject him as well.
Thank you, sir. And there was one to talk about, switch to a different topic very quickly. Senate President Bill Ferguson and Speaker Jones, they recently announced a 7-member legislative redistricting advisory commission. So just wanted to get your thoughts about gerrymandering.
Look, I think it's important that districts represent communities and that they're organized in a way that isn't designed to reach a particular political outcome, but is designed to best represent the people of their district. That said, I think if we have a fair redistricting process, we will see that voters in Maryland reject Andy Harris, and I think we will have an entirely Democratic congressional delegation.
Okay. Wanted to make sure I have a couple more questions left. I want to make sure you get to talk about this personal aspect. And you talked a bit before about in your quest in becoming the state's first Black governor. Can you summarize for those who don't know about your great-grandfather who was enslaved right in Montgomery County? Besides your immediate family, does he have a major influence on you running?
Yeah, look, so I'm talking to you from Silver Spring, where I live with my family. We have had the chance to visit the property where my great-grandfather was enslaved in Gaithersburg. The property is still owned by the family that are direct line descendants of the family that owned my family. They've maintained the property almost exactly as it was in 1863. The main house is the house that was built in the 1700s, and the cabin in which my great-grandfather and his family lived as enslaved people is still standing on the property. So I've had the opportunity to stand in that cabin with my wife, with my daughters, and really contemplate two things. One, how recent the institution of slavery is, and how intimate the institution of slavery was. I mean, that cabin is not 30 yards from the house. So these were two families living together in the same space, but one owned the other. But I've also had the chance, standing in that cabin with my daughters, to contemplate the fact that in 3 generations, my family went from enslaved in that cabin to serving in the cabinet of the first Black president. That's what's possible when we create paths to opportunity in people's lives, which for me in part was my grandmother getting to go to University of Maryland Eastern Shore and graduating there in 1894. So we have to create those paths to opportunity for folks. That's why I'm running for governor. I hope people will follow us at johnkingforgovernor.com and get involved in the campaign.
Yeah, just really quick question. So when you're not out campaigning, what does John King like to do just to relax himself?
Yeah. Well, I have 2 daughters. They are 15 and 17. So one of the most relaxing things is spending time hanging out with them, supporting them, cheering them on. My older daughter is an actress. My younger daughter is a track star, we like to say in our family. And so I like to cheer her on when she has a track meet, and I like to attend my older daughter's performances. But investing in our children and in our family always has to come first.
Thank you, Secretary King. Appreciate your time, sir. Good luck on the campaign trail.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Great interview, Will. That's fantastic. And I always love that last question that you throw in there, you know, because we have to recognize that people who want to do community service, whether it's community service or, you know, government service or what have you, they're individuals, they're humans, and they have a life of their own. So that kind of keeps them going when they're not in those hot seats. How are we doing with these candidates? I know, what's the total of folks that are running for the governor's seat right now in Maryland?
Well, we have counted, at least informal, we have counted 8. Mm-hmm. There's been other publications that have added Rashawn Baker, but I've personally been able to get the confirmation. He's not made it official yet. Okay. So that's why we haven't used him as the 9th person.
Oh, okay.
He may decide later, but it hasn't been official.
Right. And bring us up to date again on when the election is, because none of these candidates are really, I mean, the process of, do they have to get signatures? What does it take for them to actually get on a ballot?
Well, basically just filling in. I think they have until February to technically register. So that's why other candidates still have time. And the primary is not until June 28th of 2022. So as you see, there's still plenty of time. But usually after Labor Day, you can go in any jurisdiction. Once Labor Day hits, that's when things start rolling. And one reason is they have children, school schedules are pretty much set, and that's when things just really kick off.
And do you have kind of outlined what you think Marylanders are most concerned about? I know you've asked a lot of questions to each of the prospective candidates, but if you could name the top 3, what are they?
One is education is definitely one. And what's unique with Maryland, it differs depending on the jurisdiction. Criminal justice, also depending on the jurisdiction where you live. And there's been a little bit up and down talk about the environment as well. A lot of discussion on the Eastern Shore because of now the Chesapeake Bay, where people get different seafood, which comes out here into the DC area. So that's been a topic as well. I haven't been too much on the environment, but I have to start taking a more deeper dive into that as well.
I was wondering about infrastructure too, because with the president.
Infrastructure, and matter of fact, we just covered the National Association of Counties Conference, infrastructure and broadband access, 2 big topics that were discussed all 4 days.
Right. Okay. Well, you know, we look forward to having folks roll through, you know, to put their agendas out there, but most importantly, you know, the folks that are going to be on the ground, making sure that folks get out to vote. That's going to be critical. It continues to be critical. And we certainly would like to make sure that Maryland is representative with folks turning out at the polls next June. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. And remember, what's your Twitter handle, Will? We want folks to continue to follow you.
Oh, at Jabari Will, and that's at symbol JABARIWILL. And Jabari is not my middle name. It's my son's name.
All right. Fantastic. And I would just say for folks that are watching, if you have any questions, any concerns, if there's something you want the Washington Informer to cover out there in Maryland, be it Prince George's County, Montgomery County, Charles County, we go as far as Charles, getting ready to tiptoe a little bit in the Calvert. You know, make sure you send that to Jabari Will, at Jabari Will, and will follow up with you and make sure that we get your news that you want in the Washington Informer. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All righty. So our last guest, we're having a little bit of technical problems with, but we're at least going to bring on Tony Regusters quickly to give us a snapshot. And of course, we will not see Tony, but we have a photograph of him from the Coming Home Project. Tony, welcome to WIN TV.
Hi, Denise. Can you hear me okay?
Can hear you well. Fantastic.
Hi. It's so good to be with you.
I'm here.
And there is
Tony has arrived. Right. Okay. Well, we need to mute something because we're getting a lot of feedback.
Okay, hold on a minute.
Yes. Okay.
Hold on a second.
Well, Tony, if you could start off with us briefly and tell us about these 2 individuals that you all are planning to take to Ghana.
Yes. Mother Viola Fletcher is 107 years old. Her younger brother, who's affectionately referred to as Uncle Red and is 100 years old, were both children on the 2 days of the Tulsa Black Wall Street Massacre. And during Juneteenth, during Tulsa's celebration of that wonderful occasion, um, Michael Thompson, who is the CEO of Our Black Truth social media, had the opportunity to have a meeting with uh, Mother Fletcher, and she expressed to him her desire to travel to Africa before she went on to meet God. And that struck him so deeply in his heart that he contacted Dr. Toni Luck, who is now COO of Our Black Truth social media, and Ambassador Erica Bennett, who is head of mission for the Diaspora African Forum in Accra, Ghana. They all put their brilliant minds together and came up with this wonderful opportunity to transport Mother Fletcher and her brother, Uncle Red, to Ghana. And we're going to take them to Ghana on August 13th for a couple of days where they'll be feted by the president of Ghana, celebrated by chiefs and nanas. Mother Fletcher will be installed. So many wonderful things will be set up and happening for them. The people of Ghana are so excited about this, getting these two survivors of the Black Wall Street Massacre to come to their country and be honored by them in remembrance of all of those who did not have the opportunity to do what they're being able to do now here in 100 years later in 2021.
I'm so glad that you were able to join us to talk about, this historic trip. And I can't wait until hopefully you all will capture a lot of photos and videos that you can share with us when you return. It's amazing that even at this stage in their lives, they still want to go back to the motherland to see. And I don't know, do they know whether they have descendants from Ghana? How did they pick Ghana of all the 53 countries in Africa? Why was Ghana so essential?
Well, Ghana is so user-friendly, especially to the African American community. And because there's an open door policy for African Americans in Ghana, including the ability to have dual citizenship and own property there. It's got a stable democracy, a social cultural platform that is very wonderful. The economy is great. The political situation is very stable. So we chose Ghana because we wanted them to have a perfect experience. And that's what they're going to have. They're going to have a wonderful time. They're going to be honored by many of Ghana's and Accra's leading citizens. And I'm also going to be doing a documentary film to commemorate this historic occasion. So you'll get plenty of footage.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, unfortunately we've run out of time, but I just wanted to get you on quickly so that we could share with our viewers the fact that this historic event trip is about to take place, and it will be in August. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's called Coming Home: The Journey of a Lifetime, from August 13th through August 21st.
Wonderful. And tell Dr. Luck we're sorry we couldn't make that connection, but we will look forward to talking to you all when we get back. When you get back, I'm saying we, like I'm going, but I'm spiritually going to be with you. So it's fantastic.
We may try to link up with you and Chevry from Accra.
Oh, that would be wonderful. That would be fantastic. Yes,
yeah,
we'd love to see Dr.
Global,
Bennett.
So
yeah,
we can do that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Look forward to it. Thank you so much, Tony, and wish Mother Fletcher and her brother, Uncle Ray, safe travels, and same to you and all the rest who are going with you.
Thank you, Denise. Much love.
All righty. So this brings us to the end of another edition of Win TV. Thank you so much for being with us. Like I said, I have lots to share about my recent trip to Egypt. I want to thank all of our guests today. Of course, I want to thank our producer, Chevry Lassiter, and everyone who participated, Will Ford, Natalie Hockaday, everybody from the Washington Informer team. We wish you a wonderful weekend, and don't go away because we want you to watch WI Bridge TV with the media prints and sounds of the DMV. We'll see you next Friday.
Hey Mo, do you know what time it is? DMV's greatness is on the pedestal, from billboards to BT to Champagne to Jimmy Fallon. That's right, Jimmy Fallon. This is the top trending topics of the area. Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on, DC? Welcome back. I'm the Media Prince. Let's get right into it. Our first trending topic is none other than IDK himself. Now, we've been talking about him for a minute now, but he just keeps doing epic shit. This time, he has a billboard for guests. Check it out, and excuse the language. I mean, he did just get a billboard.
Yo, what the is lit? Damn, boy, you sexy.
Next up, we have a first-time Olympian from Bowie, Maryland. That's right, athlete Jeremy Grant will be on the U.S. Olympic basketball team. I mean, if you don't see our area's greatness by now, you need glasses, folks. Let's keep on with sports. NBA shooting coach Lethal Shooter takes his shooting techniques to another level. Take a look, and yes, he is DC's own.
You're looking at the first ever mechanical rim. It's called the windmill. I'm going to shoot on this basket with the blue tape to show you how accurate my jump shot is. Ah! Stay locked in, baby.
DMV's own Dave Chappelle links with Drake. Didn't I tell y'all Drake is a fan of the DMV? Let's get to work, folks. Speaking of work, DC's own Jimmy Jenkins, aka DC's son, has been hitting the pavement running, releasing a new movie production, a new store, and now a new champagne set to release in 2022. Let's clap it up for this powerful brother. Goldie makes his debut on Jimmy Fallon, y'all. Go take a look.
Raindrops from his new album, Hurrum, with a little help from Flo Millie. Give it up for Gold Link.
I don't follow rules, just write them and call my.
Call me on my cellular phone, hate when you leave me alone. I don't like to Instagram, I don't like when you be out.
Congratulations to DMV's own media personality, Britt Waters, as she has been named the official USAB and Arena MC for the 2020 U.S. Olympic Exhibition Games. Hey, congratulations, Queen. Our favorite producer, DMV's own Tressa Azarel, is back with yet another epic movie to get excited for, entitled The Couch, which premieres on BET tomorrow, starring Yandy Smith. Take a quick look.
Hey, you need help with that?
I don't need your help. Get the hell away from me.
I've tried everything I know to do to shake these thoughts.
Sounds like you were suffering from major depression. It's like pulling teeth trying to get you to do anything.
You don't understand.
I have a very sick woman with bipolar disorder.
You keep staying away from everybody. But a friendship, it's a two-way street.
Hot off the press of the Washington Informer Bridge, take a look at the well at Oxen Run, urban farm and community wellness space planned for DC's Ward 8. Broccoli City is in the giving spirit with another giveaway, this time tickets to see WizKid at the Fillmore. Find out all the details now on their Instagram. Just like Broccoli City, we have so many epic festivals happening here, and one just happened here in the area called the Parknet. But I don't want to bore you. I'll let my guys explain the epicness that just happened here in the area. Let's meet the great people behind Parknet.
Yo, what's up? It's Malcolm Xavier, DJ 93.9 WKYS, Magic 102.3, and 1/3 of the Parknet crew. Parknet was created as a way for us to kind of bring people back together during the pandemic. We took the opportunity to say, like, look, we all want to come and get back together. We want to have fun. We want to see our friends that we ain't seen in a long time, but we also want to be safe and socially distanced. So we created this plan to create a tailgate where you can bring your own food, bring your own picnic tables, whatever you want to have fun and come and turn up, and you could do that. And the first year, it was a breeze, and everybody came in and had fun. It was super safe. The second year that we just did, the experience, a little bit of a challenge to try to do, 2 festivals within probably like a 6-month span, but ultimately it was a great learning experience, and I love to do it, and we definitely plan on doing it again. And thank you for everybody that came out. Media Print, shout out to you for covering it. Shout out to Queasy, shout out to BG. Shout out to everybody, all our hosts, Bacon Bear, Flexa, DJs, Marauder, Damo, Marvelous, Camo, Get Well Soon, Pedro, DJ Heat, who killed it at the WNBA All-Star Game. So shout out to everybody. Forgive me for anybody I missed. And hopefully we see you guys at the next Park Nick.
Lastly, DMV, get excited because the Washington Monument is back open for the first time since January 11th. Oh, I'm getting tickets. How about y'all? And make sure your breath is fresh because, ladies and gentlemen, the masks, unfortunately, have to stay on. Well, there you have it, folks. Another week of what's going on DC. For all this and more, head over to wibridgedc.com because we want you to stay informed of what's happening here in your area. And make sure you follow the hashtags WGODC and WIBridgeTMP Style for all your latest looks. Now it's the weekend. Let's go have us some fun. Until next week.
Take spiders, for instance, but not really insects.
Yeah. Everybody trying to talk that. I'm trying to let it speak. Honestly, I think you blind, you could never see. Wasting time trying to be something you'll never be. I'm on the surface, every line, it ain't never deep. Selling these rhymes so I could purchase a new set of teeth. Make you press rewind so you get a key. Gotta keep it quiet, you won't get a beat. Shh, I've been killing it, this shit a felony. On that vegan shit so we don't smell a beef. Wanna catch a dream, you gotta set it free. Let it go, let it flow, that mean let it be. Getting to the sound, it's been taking years. I done drowned, trying to hold you down. I've been drinking tears, I'm a clown. Looking at me now, how I make it here. I was down, lower than the ground, then I persevered. Definition of courage is when you notice fear. Doing what you gotta do, but you keep working, yeah. Everybody talk that shit. Yeah, everybody seem to talk that shit. Every day you see me walking. Seen people change like the leaves in the fall. Don't let your pride be the reason you fall. Spiritual armor, this the season of war. Divine mind, the one you need in the call. One collective, though we see it apart. It's do or die, so I gotta keep my mind sharp. Buried in the struggle where you find thoughts. Thinking you ain't got it and you promise you gon' find heart. You can pick the day, that's when the grind start. Pieces to the puzzle, you gon' find parts. Me and Triple T that made rewind art. Never miss the target like them flying darts. If they won't let you shine, then you gon' find a spark. Ain't got no time to talk, I'm just trying to walk. Yeah, every day you see me walk that shit. Yeah, every day you see me walk that shit. Yeah, everybody else talk that shit. Yeah. Everybody talk that shit.
So one of the ways that I come up with the topics that I speak about in my music is really just going back to, reflecting on my own life experiences, looking at the life experiences of the people around me, trying to, figure out a way, like what is the lesson in it, because I try to make sure that I'm consistent with making sure that throughout all of my music, every project, there's an underlying message. So, it's really just me pulling from my own life experiences. And I think by doing that, my music remains authentic and genuine to who I am and what I represent as an artist. Definition of courage is when you know. And if I could change one thing about the music industry, honestly, it would be people not accepting just what is put in front of them. I feel like there's so many artists, there's so much talent, like everybody's talented, like even on the, like down to the, like the local or whatever level. So I think if I could change one thing, it would be not letting major labels and corporations dictate, you know, who is hot and like who gets to, you know, be in the forefront of the industry. So that's why I'm a huge advocate of supporting local art, because regardless of visual art, you know, music, whatever, we gotta uplift each other, because, you know, artists are, we're like a exclusive community. Creatives are like a really exclusive community, and we are the ones who are, you know, the culture makers or the culture cultivators, or however you want to put it. So, you know what I mean? I think, you know, if it was one thing I could really change about the industry, it would be that, you know, we were more accepting of everybody, independent artists, and not, you know, just looking at these major labels, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm currently working on my second studio album, Clairvoyance, and I don't really have a release date yet, but it's definitely about, you know, it's close to being finished. It's going to be completely produced by a time-traveling toaster, so I'm really excited about that. I got some dope DMV artists on there, so, you know, like, it's definitely gonna be, it's lit. It's gonna be eye-opening music, timeless music, something that everybody could relate to. So I'm really looking forward to that. You know? Follow me on, you know, IG, everything, DIVINEMINDE.